Yes, that actually is the title for this one, and it is another episode skipped in imports. As you'd expect, it revolves around malfunctions of the country's train line network by a mouse outbreak of viruses, which shuts down rail travel, or alternatively sending them rampaging throughout the rail network. Saloma and Woodman, however, are on the case to investigate these outbreaks, as they keep being caused by all-electric-type viruses. Case in point on that, the malfunctions cause a freight train hauling tanks of oil and gas to release one of those cars from the coupling system, so it drifts on the track, up until the point a bullet train full of commuters runs straight right up to it. The train's operator manages to slow the train enough to prevent a derailing collision, so the tank is just stuck at the front of the train, but that could have been a disaster. Especially with Netto and Shisao happening to be on that commuter trip. So, I actually went and looked this up on whether a freight car connector and a bullet train's coupler would be compatible like this, and it turns out a grand majority of nations all use different styles and types of train car connectors. Thus, the short answer to this is yes, because both the car and the train are in Japan, so they would use the same type of coupler, but the long answer is technically no, because bullet trains are not meant to haul freight, so despite design similarities, they're not meant to be compatible, as they don't want someone foolish making the attempt to use a bullet train to haul very fast things that could be explosive. Nebula is behind this. When has anything been simple in dealing with them? It's at this point Sparkman takes direct control over that specific train and decides to play a game, challenging the officials to try and stop him before the train reaches its final destination. Please, the only bit of trauma I have from those movies involves trucks hauling trailers of wood logs on the highway. Oh, come on, I cannot be the only one who saw those films and afterwards started to be paranoid about that. Still, this once more explains why this episode got skipped, as beyond a high-speed bomb not actually being possible on Japanese rail lines for reasons I said, in the mid-2000s, rail line bombs and derailments were a legitimate concern in the Americas due to a whole host of reasons. While train derailings are nearly unheard of in Japan, and they have only had 2 of any note in the last 100 years, they're a bit more frequent in the Americas. And 3 separate incidents had happened in close proximity to when this series was being imported. So it makes sense that the timing for dubbing and releasing such an episode would have been in very poor taste. Hell, of the 2 notable Japanese rail line incidents I could find record of, again, there could be others that I just could not find in my research, so future-proofing myself on that. One of them did happen in 2005, demolished a building, and killed over 100 people. But the other notable one before that hadn't been since 1963. So, despite the presence of superfast rail lines being ubiquitous in Japan, they really didn't seem to put together the means by which to make it their safest way to travel. Granted, the US has 5 times the amount of train rails laid in comparison to Japan, but a significant number of those have been abandoned in the last 3 decades. So that shows a significant difference in the safety records that just does speak for itself. But since Netto's on the train and a net saver at that, he can act directly inside the train to stop it, while on the outside, Saloma does her best to get ahead of the train to try and intercept and divert it, getting close enough so she can at least send Woodman into the train to help whoever might be inside. Saloma was always the best. It is a shame her side story in Blue Moon is completely fucking broken. Woodman trying to make his way to the front of the train, though, completely distracts Sparkman from Netto's own attempts to get to the front, creating an amusing paralleling story of the 2's respective battles. The dining car's cabin, why is this on a commuter train? Giving both of them issue due to the flames of the burners they're both weak to. At least until Rockman finally gets online, as there was a jack-in port in that car. Sparkman not expecting Rockman to be here makes him think he can get a bonus for this job, as by this point the train's destination has been determined, the Densan Terminal, which they'll reach within the next few minutes. Thus is invoked the race against time trope, with Netto literally fighting his way past the panicking passengers, only to find further progress physically blocked by fallen machinery. So while the navvies finally reach Sparkman, Netto alone has to find a way around outside the train.
Ow! The dust! It's like being shot in the eyes by a glitter gun!
Fortunately, Woodman manages to tank the majority of the damage with his electrical resistance, with the act triggering the resonance, enabling Rockman to gain Before he reaches his end, however, Sparkman fuses the virtual controls and electrocutes the train conductor, meaning there's no way to undo what he's done. Except for Netto hitting the manual emergency brakes for the last-minute save for the second time with a train jacking in the series. Once more proving himself as not just an operator, but a big damn hero. The wrap-up. I've got Soul, the second to last Soul Unison form being acquired. We've got train jacking for the type of episode this is. We have designated tank, to Woodman proving impervious to nearly everything the enemy throws at them in this episode. And we have civilians are useless, to no one on the train car thinking to, try and stay calm as regardless of where they are, they're going to die anyways when the train hits due to the tanker explosion. As I've come to expect from good tales from Masaharu Amiya, this is a simple concept, the train jacking, executed well, and it's executed well by not overcomplicating itself. The situation is triggered, and we've got people that have to overcome the obstacles put in their way to stop it. Netto and Chisao being on the train makes sense since they're coming back from the amusement park. It's merely by chance that train was the one chosen for this, while Saloma, I have no idea why she's back in town, considering she, Miyuki, and Mesa were forced into a "we're leaving forever now" bus by Mayuri Sekijima. Maybe this is just again Sekijima's problems as a writer coming back to spite him, but this time now, she's really gone after allowing Rockman and Netto to get Wood Soul sorted out. But this again shows a strong difference in execution, where Netto has to step up and overcome the odds to save people. While with the way Sekijima wrote Netto, he couldn't save a cat from a cardboard box. And as such, Netto is much better presented this way than the alternative. It's once more the tension and atmosphere of the crisis that sells this one, but with how many of the plots of the series are get to the place, jack in, overcome viruses and a boss to stop it, I can also get how many feel this was already over-tread ground as well. That was why the anime showrunners introduced cross-fusion as a concept in the first place, after all. But when you go back to the classic method, well, if you've not broken it, then don't try to overdo it trying to fix it.